And welcome everyone to Rugged Outdoors Guide. My name is Pete and this is my channel. I have just driven 18 hours. For what? Well, my goal was to pick up a canoe. That's all it is to pick up a canoe. I live down in southern Ontario near Toronto, between Toronto and Buffalo, and I'm here north of Lake Superior. And it's a crazy long trip. You know, Ontario is so huge that even just the northern part of it is quite a bit bigger than the state of Texas. And so anywhere else in the US, if you drive 18 hours, you're going to find yourself far away from home, maybe 5 or 6 states away. But not so here in Ontario. In fact, 18 hours doesn't even get you across the whole province. But here I am, standing on the north shore, one of the lookout points of Lake Superior. You can see it kind of way back there behind me. And I'm really looking forward not only to the trip itself is just amazing, and I'll tell you more about that. Actually, I'll tell you a little bit about it now. If you ever get the opportunity to travel through not just Ontario, but the eastern and northern shore of Lake Superior, which is like the most rugged and amazing of all the Great Lakes, you will not be disappointed, especially if you do it in the autumn when the leaves are changing. It's the most rugged, amazing experience. It's like driving through the Rockies in the western US and Canada, except it's not the Rockies. It's here in Ontario, and some would say it's even nicer because of all the abundance of lakes everywhere up here in what pretty much amounts to the mountains. So unbelievable trip, really amazing. Even if it's just a car trip, you'll wish it's more than a car trip. You'll wish you had your canoe. Everywhere you go, you'll want to stop. You'll want to go fishing or just paddling in all these little lakes. And so anyways, it is an amazing experience. But I'm headed up even farther north to a provincial park called Wabakimi. And Wabakimi is over 5 million acres in size, and that is my destination. There is an outfitter up there, and he's got a canoe for me. And I'm going to take a trip up to his lodge, and he's got a really interesting story, so I hope to interview him and also take a trip around there with my brand new canoe. All right, let's go. As I began the second half of what was ultimately a 21-hour journey from my home in southern Ontario, I was struck by the ruggedness and remoteness of this region of Canada. While technically it's farther south than the northern parts of other provinces, it's no less desolate and remote. And even as I traveled the Trans-Canada Highway, which is really the main highway in all of Canada, I felt both alone and even lonely for a while. I arrived at my destination about 150 miles north of Thunder Bay, Ontario, just in time to buy my first solo canoe and then stretch out in the back of my Chevy Avalanche for my second night on the road. Well, early the next day, I was able to interview my host, Bruce Heyer of Wabakimi Fishing and Canoeing Outfitters. And then finally, I was headed for the put-in point to start my 4-day trip through the Kopka River and Wabakimi Provincial Parks. All right, friends, I'm finally here. I am miles and miles beyond, like we're talking probably 100 miles north of anywhere I've ever been in Ontario. I've bought my first solo canoe. I'm sitting in it now. I'll show you that later. It's a 16-foot Bell Magic solo canoe. This is an immaculate, I mean, honestly, I would go so far as to say that it is on par or even better than what anyone would say is the best handmade Kevlar canoe for solo ever. I mean, it really is that good. Bell doesn't exist anymore, but that's another story we'll talk about maybe later. But here I am. I am on the Kopka River Provincial Park grounds. It surrounds this whole area, and this is early fall, early October, and most of the deciduous trees have lost their leaves, and but it is wild, and it's not cold. I just got a shirt on, and that's it. So it's just an unbelievably quiet experience. There's nothing here. This is so far north. I don't know if you guys know anything about Ontario, but Ontario is several times the size of Texas, and this is extreme north. There's a place called Thunder Bay, Ontario, which nobody wants to live in because it's so extremely far north. There's nothing north of it hardly, except this. So I am on I told you, the Kopka River Provincial Park. It's about a 3-hour drive north of Thunder Bay, and it is on the southern edge of the real prize. And unfortunately, I can't show it to you this trip because I don't have time. I only got about 3 days, but the real prize is Wabakimi Provincial Park. It's 5.5 million acres. It is the biggest canoeing reserve in the world. It's bigger than the Boundary Waters Conservation Area or canoeing area combined with Tippicanoe Park in Ontario. That's the famous one. Everybody goes to that one because it's, you know, reasonably accessible. This is about 6 hours north of that, driving pretty fast. So this is bigger than Algonquin, bigger than anything you can think of. It is the biggest in the world. Go figure that. I bet you've never even heard of it. Yeah, neither have I. So I am on this extreme southeastern end of it. And maybe next year, I plan to go in the interior of the park. And most people fly in and canoe out, but there are other ways to do it. So I will, I'm going to try to make time today. I'm just going to try to go like crazy and see if I can get to my camp spot, because it's kind of overcast. I'm not sure what I'm up against. But anyway, on this trip, guys, you guys know I've made bent shaft paddles. And on this trip, I've decided to use my bent shaft to make good time. And by the way, if you guys have never been in a solo canoe, the really efficient ones with a really good hull profile, like this one, they are a little bit tippy. Yeah, the GoPro doesn't show the tippiness. It's got a great stabilizer, but they can be. So you really do have to practice a bit. And but once you do, especially if you've got a load in it, like for at least 3 or 4 days, a week or more, you'll get used to it pretty quickly, and you'll start to like it because you're sitting right near the water on both sides, and it's easy to paddle. You can switch the paddle from one side to the other. So anyway, can't wait to get started here. I just hit the water about 5 minutes ago, and yeah, we'll see where it takes us. I'll stop blabbing, and I will see you at our first camp spot. All right, so one thing I didn't mention earlier, or didn't make totally clear, is that while I'm in the Kopka River Provincial Park, it is attached, like literally. It's pretty much the same, and it's treated the same as Wabakimi Park. So it kind of is, it's got a separate name. I'm not even sure why, but my host, Bruce Heyer, who owns Wabakimi Fishing and Canoeing Outfitters, he assured me it's one and the same, and so that's why I'm telling you about it, and it's in the title of this video. And I'm in the park, but just sort of on the edge of it, in another provincial park. That should be the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
To infinity and beyond!
So here we are approaching my first portage. Yeah, I can't really run that or even pull my boat up. Don't want to bash it up too. Beautiful Kevlar, brand new. Guys, at 28 pounds, I think this one's more like 30 pounds. But this is a joy. I got a big pack on my back. Oh, excuse the screeching. I got a big pack on my back, and this is not that heavy. Look, no hands. All right, guys, I just had a brainstorm. I've been thinking about a name for this beauty that I'm paddling. And I was thinking of a girl's name, but I don't know. I just like girls' names, but I think it's kind of a generic name, maybe more of a dude's name, but I gotta name this guy Stealth. Look at this. Look at this beast. It's not only is it black and narrow and has a very low profile in the water, but it doesn't even have any writing on the side of it. So this is my new best friend, Stealth. I mentioned earlier that I'm on Kopka River Provincial Park, and that's just kind of attached to Wabakimi Provincial Park. And I didn't mention you do need permits. And my friend Bruce Heyer, who sold me the canoe and who's been a very gracious host in helping me plan this trip, he has all the permits you need. You're welcome. All right, guys, I gotta mention something before I forget. If you've seen any of my other videos, one of them is about how to deal with a headwind. And when you're in a canoe, especially solo, I am dealing with a headwind right now. It's not huge, but it's significant enough to slow me down. Bruce Heyer, who sold me the canoe that I have, he said that this wouldn't be a problem with wind. You can do pretty much anything. Guys, I gotta tell you, I can go any angle into the wind, across wind, straight on the other side, and nothing is affecting this canoe. Stealth. That's his name, don't you know? Not only does it have a lot of tumble home, which I like to think deflects wind a little bit, but it's really low profile in the water. And of course, I'm sitting pretty much in the middle. So it really doesn't matter when you get a solo canoe that is low profile. Some of them are not as low profile as this one. But anyway, just a little tip. If you have that in the budget and you're thinking of doing a lot of soloing, you don't have to worry about fighting wind techniques. Just get one of these dudes and you'll be really happy. I'm thrilled with this. Like, I just want to tell the whole world right now, but this little black box right there is the only thing I got. So hopefully you're taking it in, and I'll have some cool scenic stuff for you later. I'm kind of in the middle of this lake right now, so it doesn't look like much, but I'm getting close to my second portage, and then they say the fishing is like beyond anything you've ever experienced. So I'm looking forward to it. The bottom of my canoe got scratched on the very first day. I mean, I knew it would, but it's kind of a bummer. It doesn't look new and pristine anymore. It doesn't affect the performance, but you know what I'm saying, right? Anyway, that's a small highlight of my day, low light. Also, I just set up camp, and it's pretty gloomy out there. Yeah, I see the sky doesn't look that great, and guess what? It's raining. So I think I'll stay dry. I'm on a little tiny island, and I think things will be okay, but I really wanted to go out fishing to test out what the angling was like on this lake, and I'll have plenty of opportunity, but anyway, it might be a wash for the first day.